Yep, Chris. In fact, I think it's happening as we speak in the today's 2D formats. I'll give you an example. In case of a spatial video, as we call them, you're really bringing the power of animations, like Jane referred to, spatial storytelling, as I was referring to earlier. Think of a refrigerator door opening. You talking about the ice maker machine inside. Think about, say, exploding a watch, talking about the gears and the functioning within. And for different kind of consumers contexts, purchase contexts, you can actually perfectly hit the emotional connect in terms of what they're looking for and offer them a far richer utilitarian understanding about the product, right? And that's happening as we speak. We could package it into videos that kind of show you a watch blowing out, or, you know, like you said, the future seems to be more and more 3D as we think of evolving form factors like Quest, Vision Pro, and the others. I think still early days, but you probably see this 2D shift into 2.5D, as we call them, which
Huh.
is in your phone, a flat screen, dropping a couch in your space on your mobile phone, right? We call it 2.5D because there's still some degrees of freedom that are missing, but that'll probably evolve into through 3D immersion where you'd hardly be able to distinguish between digital storytelling and physical storytelling, kind of superimposed in many different forms, as you'd imagine.
So Sravanth, that's an angle I hadn't thought about too in the initial part of this discussion. So in addition to the scalability of just the general assets you need for commerce, there's also the scalability of the marketing and being able to do the marketing differently too, through what I think you said at the outset was animations. Am I thinking about that the right way too, in terms of this scaling the marketing and the way you can talk to the consumers in new forms and new forms of media too?
Yeah, that's right. The way we think about this, Chris, is there is a clear here and now cost savings that we can drive. Think of the cost savings that we'll drive for a physical photo shoot. Imagine the lifestyle spend that's going on and being able to do that virtually. But then while you do that, we create the foundation on which you can then start building a lot of leverage as you think forward. For the shelf life of the asset, you could create multiple marketing videos, telling different stories, maybe seasonally changing Christmas videos, for example. And equally, think of all the future formats of visualization that are emerging today, starting from a 3D viewer on a phone or a AR kind of a use case that has applications today, down to a future use case of wearing a Vision Pro or something of that nature in a physical store. And like Jane said, getting all the digital infinite aisle onto the store in the floor space right in front of you.
And how do you think about that from the marketer perspective
Well,
too?
yeah,
Because
it
like
was,
I
yeah.
think it's an interesting. Well, the one question I want to ask you is I think it's an interesting angle too, because when you take it from the product perspective and then extending what you can do with the product through animations, it does enable you to scale the content more in a larger way because you're not having to deal with like words on a page. If I think about that and how brands extend across nationalities visually, like that's also a really important part of this story, I think. How do you think about that
Yeah,
though,
I
Anne?
well, I was just gonna ask, Sravanth, how do you kind of one key thing that was really important to us at Target as marketers was like, how do you make sure that you put this product in a lifestyle image that resonates with the brand, that has the brand's voice? Like, how are you helping retailers to make sure that when I am doing real time, like I want this version to be in a beach house, I want this version to be for the like Latina mom, I want this version to take place like with this, with a completely different family, and they are going to be in a winter scene. Like, how are you ensuring that one, there's differentiation, then making sure that it's speaking to my brand, my audience? How are you making sure that it's not like replicating the same scenes if, say, like Walmart was going to do
Mm.
a similar thing?
That's a great question, Anne. And like we keep telling ourselves, we're not in the business of creating visuals. We are in the business of
Okay.
helping sell better product stories. And that's the job that Jane kind of heads for us. So maybe let Jane come in at this point.
Yeah.
So I think there's some really great advancements here, which is
Okay.
really exciting. So one of the big things that we're seeing emerge is our ability to ingest a brand's existing imagery and
Okay.
create a silo of that data set. And so
Okay.
it builds on the data set that we already have, and also, you know, is walled off from any of the other content creation. But we're able to weight that input of those images of that brand,
Yeah.
weight that so that the results that you get out become more like those images and continue to perpetuate the brand. And so, you know, really it's about the prompting. And I'm sure if you've done some research on AI, it is about the prompting, right? How to create the right prompt. But it's also about the data set. And so, you know, we're really careful about the data that we have and the data that we ingest, so that we are building and telling brand stories going forward.
So